Becoming disciplined is actually simple when you understand how it works. Following through with your healthy habits consistently doesn't have to be hard. I'm going to teach you just 5 things today, and if you can understand and implement all of these 5 things, you cannot fail. You will become a disciplined person. Number 1, stop relying on motivation. Let's talk a little bit about why disciplined people don't rely on motivation. At the beginning, when you are developing a new habits can feel really hard. They require effort and conscious thought. But as you keep showing up, something starts to change. The habit becomes more automatic. It becomes a habit and it becomes part of your routine. And then even eventually it becomes part of your identity. So the effort required to do it decreases over time. So I want to give a really good visual representation of this and explain it a bit further so that you can keep it in your mind when you're thinking about becoming a more disciplined person. So let's go downstairs quickly to my son's whiteboard and I'm going to draw something for you. Okay, so we're working with a really simple line graph. Down the bottom is time. Up the top is effort, or like hardness, how hard it is for you to do it. When you first start out trying to do a new habit, you're working with motivation. So you're feeling good, it's not that much effort to do. But as time goes on, the effort it takes for you to complete this healthy habit, it gets a lot harder. As the effort is getting harder, this is when the motivation is wearing off. This could also be where you have a really hard day and staying disciplined just all of a sudden feels really heavy. But here's the key. It's a hump. If you can get over this, as time continues on, the effort it takes decreases again. And this is where it actually starts becoming a habit. It becomes automatic. You've trained your brain. It becomes your identity. If you can get over this initial hump, it becomes lighter because you're no longer forcing the habit. You are becoming the person who just does it. So this part here, when it's getting really, really hard, it's taking a lot of effort. This is where people give up. That's when people quit. A few weeks after New Year's and everyone's already quit their resolutions, that is where they are. This is the critical turning point for you. This is the hill that you have to climb. You have to get over that hill. Because once you get over that hill, that is where your brain changes. Once the habit is formed down here, they require less mental effort and willpower because they're triggered by the environment, not motivation. So remember here, we're very motivated. And then the motivation wears off over time, as it does, and the effort becomes harder. But once we get over that hump, the effort becomes easier as time goes on, and then it becomes our identity. This is the place I want you to all get to. And if you implement all these things I'm talking about in today's video and you understand how this works, you will get to this place. So let's pop back upstairs and continue on. Okay, so throughout this video, I'm going to talk about habits and discipline, and I'm going to give a lot of examples, and I'm going to give examples about exercise and running because I just think it's a really easy thing for all of us to understand. But you can apply any of these things to any kind of habit or anything you're trying to become more disciplined in. So when I was first trying to start the habit of exercising consistently, my partner Alex said to me one day, he said, the most important workout you do is the one that you really didn't feel like doing, but you went and did it anyway. Because that workout doesn't just change the body, but it actually changes the brain. And this is the key to becoming a disciplined person. We want brain change. That workout that you do, that you don't feel like doing, but you do it anyway, that workout rewires the brain. Your brain forms new and stronger neural pathways because you pushed against the resistance and you did it anyway. You're basically building a new identity in your brain. Repeated actions build self-perception. So you start saying things like, I'm a person who shows up. I'm someone who follows through. I am someone who works out. When you go and do it, even when you didn't feel like doing it, You are building trust with yourself. But if you skip that workout because you really didn't feel like doing it, you actually also lose trust with yourself, which can be really damaging to your discipline and your self-esteem. Every time you complete the workout, you do the thing that you said you were going to do, your brain releases dopamine, the reward chemical. So your brain goes, okay, that felt really good. Let's remember this. And then it begins linking the workout to the reward. Remember, at first, you're going with motivation. Then when you lose motivation, it can take a lot of effort. And you have to keep going and get over that hump. And over time, the effort that it takes to do the thing will decrease. And that is when your brain is starting to do the work for you. Number 2, make it so small that you can't fail. Start with habits that feel almost too easy. Consistency matters more than intensity. I repeat, consistency matters more than intensity. Piling on too much at once or going too fast too soon can cause you to burn out and lose steam too quickly. Choosing a really small thing to do and then doing that consistently is known to be the best way to get a habit to stick. So for me, when I started running at the beginning of the year, I just started with 1 lap around the oval, which is almost about 500 meters. That's it. And I just kept showing up for my 1 lap. Some days I ended up doing 2. And then after a few weeks, I was feeling a bit fitter, so I felt like doing a few more laps. But I didn't start off from being a couch potato and saying, I'm going to run 5 kilometers every day this week. My body would have been in significant pain and my brain would have associated that pain with running. I want my brain to associate running with a reward. The reward I got when I ran around the oval once was incredible. I was so proud of myself for just showing up consistently. I gave myself a pat on the back for turning up for myself. And I left every day feeling happy. And what did that happy feeling do? It reinforced my behavior. So I wanted to do it again the next day. And this is exactly what the science says. The science says that small wins release dopamine, which then reinforces the behavior. So you want to do it again and again. So if you are struggling to find time every day to say exercise or do your healthy habit, instead of aiming to try find 1 hour in your day to go to the gym and exercise, ask yourself, where can you find just 10 minutes in your day to exercise? I bet you could do 10 minutes of weights every night before having a warm shower and jumping into bed. I think we could all find 10 minutes. When you start small with 10 minutes consistently, it won't be long until you crave more than 10 minutes. And that is when you start to carve out more time in your day because it becomes really important to you. So please, this is such an important point of this video. Make it so small so you can get over that hump that we spoke about. Because that hump, that is where people give up. That's when people quit. But over that hump, over that hill, that's where discipline is built. So if you want to become a disciplined person, make it small, get over that hump, and it will start to become automatic. Okay, number 3, reduce friction for good habits and increase friction for bad habits. So basically, your environment shapes your discipline, especially when you are first developing a new habit or trying to get rid of an unhealthy habit. As an example, let's talk about eating healthy snacks. I want you to answer this question for me. If you were to open your cupboard or your pantry and the first thing you saw right in front of your eyes was chocolate biscuits, how do you think that would affect your healthy eating habits? If you put those unhealthy foods smack bang in the middle of your face, you are forcing yourself to have more willpower and work harder. So in terms of this healthy eating, the best thing that you can do is have the unhealthy foods out of your house completely. But the next best thing that you can do is to have those unhealthy foods right back at the end of the cupboard or hidden somewhere else, somewhere that you can't see easily or can't get to easily. This is how you increase the friction to doing the bad habit. So let me show you my pantry real quick. Okay, so this is my pantry. The very first thing that I see when I open my pantry at eye height is this Lazy Susan filled with nuts. I can take out a jar of nuts, open it up, and take a handful as a snack. All of the healthy things are easy to access right there. And at the back, right-hand corner, I have dark chocolate and lollipops for my son. This is just an example of creating the environment to reinforce the good habits and restrict the bad ones. I have enough discipline to not just like reach to the back for the chocolate, but if you don't have that discipline yet, you might have to have the chocolate in a completely different room. But make your habit easy, make it easier to do, put it right in front of your face. How can you change your environment to support your habit? Sometimes I have nuts and chocolate. Also, I might add, when I was first trying to eat healthier and like replace my afternoon sugary snack with nuts, a handful of nuts and a piece of fruit, I had to get over that hump. It was really hard at the beginning as well, also because my body was so used to the sugary snacks that once I got over it, now actually my body craves the nuts and the fruit as opposed to the chocolate. But I found that when I've decreased my sugar intake in the past and I've tried to eat healthier, it's always a lot harder at the beginning. Okay, number 4, we want to focus on identity, not outcomes. I talk a lot about identity on my channel because it makes a really big impact when you're trying to live a better life. And a lot of other people talk about identity too. That alone should tell you that it's an important thing to know and understand. So the way I talk about identity is that I choose to focus more on who I am becoming, not what I am trying to achieve. So what I mean by focusing on identity as opposed to outcomes is an outcome would be something like, I want to run 10 kilometers. Instead of that just being your goal and building your habits around that, the better way to do it that will help you to become more disciplined is to state it as part of your identity, who you are becoming, not what you want to happen. So that would sound like, I am someone who can run 10 kilometers. This might sound silly and pointless to some of you, but there actually is a really good reason why this works and what impact it has on your mindset. When you phrase it as part of your identity, I am someone who can run 10 kilometers, you are telling your brain, this is who I am. And the way our brain is wired is to act in ways that are consistent with our self-image. Studies in psychology show that when behavior aligns with identity, it sticks longer because it doesn't feel like forcing yourself. It just feels like you're being yourself. So instead of relying on willpower every time, your actions start to come naturally. Running 10 kilometers isn't just a goal anymore. It's part of who you are. And that shift in thinking is what makes discipline sustainable. So to summarize the takeaway for this point, you want to focus less on asking yourself just what you want to achieve, but rather ask yourself, who do I want to become? Number 5, take imperfect action and plan for your worst days. Discipline is built through repetition, not perfection. Missing one workout doesn't really matter. Doing a shorter workout one day doesn't really matter. But missing multiple times in a row or stopping completely, that does matter. Obviously, if you are sick, please don't force yourself to go for a run. But even if you are sick in bed, what could you do to move your body and support your bedridden body as you lay in bed? You probably could stretch in bed for a few minutes to support your aching body. But if you can't, then speak to yourself and say, what my body needs right now is rest. And I'm going to feel guilt-free for resting and missing my workouts. This is a big key thing to understand here. So listen carefully because I really want you to understand this part. The key here is in your mind. Give yourself a big tick in your mind and a pat on the back and say, tick, I've done my exercise for today, or tick, I've given my body what it needs today. Even if it was just a 2-minute stretch in bed, even if it was just permission to rest, because that mental tick, that pat on the back that you gave yourself, that is the reward. And we want to keep getting that reward. That's that dopamine. It doesn't matter how big or small. Give yourself the mental tick. Give yourself the pat on the back. Acknowledge that habit that day. Bring it to your awareness, whether you are doing it or missing it because you're unwell. Give yourself that little dopamine. Even telling yourself that will release enough dopamine to just maintain that consistent habit and awareness of exercising or looking after your body. What this is essentially is it's planning for your worst days, because your worst days will come. We cannot expect ourselves to be able to always do the workouts we planned and always be disciplined and always get everything done that we said that we were going to get done, because things happen, life happens. But when we plan for worse days and we have something that we will still be proud of ourselves for doing on those worst days, we'll still get that reward. We'll still get that little dopamine kick. But if you don't plan for your worst days and you expect yourself to be this perfect robot machine that can just do their workouts every single day that they say that they're going to do, you are guaranteed to let yourself down. And that's when you lose the trust with yourself. I really hope that this is landing. I really hope that this point is landing, because this can change some lives. This can change your mindset. So the reason why we have to plan for bad days, plan for our worst days, is because there's no escaping the bad days. They will come for you. They will happen. But if you plan ahead in time for them and you know what you're going to do on your worst days, or even the days where you just don't feel like it, plan for those days to keep consistent with your habit. The days where I don't feel like running because I have no motivation, I say, okay, I'm just going to run around the oval once and go home. Or if it's like pelting down with rain outside and I don't want to go run in the rain, I'll say, okay, I'm going to do a 10-minute workout at home. And when I do that one lap, or if I do that 10-minute workout at home, I'm really pleased with myself because I showed up. I'm like, yeah, girl, I did it. Even when I didn't feel like it, I showed up for myself. Showing up, no matter how small the thing is better than nothing. I want you to remember what I'm about to say, so listen carefully. Consistency over time builds automatic behavior and long-term habits. This is where you will no longer be relying on motivation, and you will become the disciplined self you have always dreamt of. So next time you don't feel like it, remember my voice in your head. This moment where you don't feel like it, this is the turning point. This moment where you don't feel like it, this is your chance to rewire your brain. You have two choices: to do the thing or to not do the thing. Push through the resistance and do the thing. Just go and do 10 minutes and reap in the dopamine. Do it again and again, and your brain has changed. You are now a disciplined person.